There are certain kinds of lawsuits that are often settled after they go to court, and therefore we don't get to see the results of those settlements. And so we don't know how they're resolved because settlement agreements often have a confidentiality clause. And something like 98 or 97% of all civil lawsuits are settled. They never get in front of the judge or jury. They're dealt with in negotiations. And this is usually a good thing because it keeps costs down and it helps resolve things through contract negotiation instead of having a judge decide things. There is a downside, though. The downside is that the public never learns of how the thing is resolved. So common law is what America, UK, Canada, Australia, India, New Zealand, they're called common law countries. There's a few more, I think. This is how laws are interpreted. And so that is legislators make a law, and then the courts interpret the law. And this can cause crazy results sometimes where the court's interpretation of the law can be quite different than what the legislators intended. And this often is a result of legislators being sloppy when they write the laws and not making them very clear. But it also happens in situations where a law is deemed unconstitutional. And so the court has to say, well, clearly the legislators didn't intend to violate the Constitution, so therefore they must have meant this. And that can lead to really unusual results because it might have been the legislator's intention to violate the Constitution. And that's kind of an Americanism, but I think that's true of a lot of common law countries. And so that is what common law is. Common law is a way that laws are interpreted by courts. And so therefore, the only way that you can understand what laws mean is to understand how courts are interpreted. And that means that very often you need an attorney to help you. The attorney, you call me and you say, Matt, what's going to happen in this situation? I will go look and see what the most precedent lawsuits are, see how the court interpreted those laws, and then I'll tell you, okay, here's what you have to do to prove your case. Well, guess what? If the case never made it in front of a judge, then we don't know because the solution is private. And so I'll just give the example where I get frustrated the most. That is employment law cases. A lot of employment law cases are settled in administrative courts, and really the only people who know what's going on there are the people who are actually in the courtroom. But even if they're not settled there, they're probably settled in an agreement that is private. And imagine that an employer hired a manager who was making discriminatory comments, and the employee sued, which of course is what they should do. They took it to administrative court. The attorneys for the employee and the employer meet up. They figure out a way to make it right, and then it's dismissed. And nobody knows what happens except for the people who were involved. That is frustrating. Contract laws, very, very similar. They are far more likely to get in front of a judge, so we have a lot more contract law cases. But nowadays, there's certain areas of the law that simply are opaque. We just don't know how to interpret them conclusively, especially in smaller judicial districts. So it's frustrating. I hope you're picking that up, and I hope I'm not boring you too much. If you have questions, share them. I love answering your questions, and if you like watching these videos, make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button. It's been nice talking to you, and we'll see you soon.